Dude, that's some nice graphics, man.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of On the Range Podcast with War HOGG Tactical and Kelly Defense. I am Mark Kelly, and as always, with my co-host, Rick Hogg from War HOGG Tactical. How's it going, buddy?
Man, Mark, it is going great. Just want to thank the viewers, listeners out there for giving us your most precious commodity, your time to tune in, whether you're watching or listening. Guys, can't thank you enough. Do us a huge favor. Please go hit that subscribe button, that like button, that follow button. Leave us a rating review, whatever platform you're on. Help us beat this algorithm. Get the word out there. Oh, by the way, tell your friends, tell your family, tell the neighbors, tell everybody. Stick it on your social media, do all that stuff. Boom. On the Range Podcast. You know, that's the place to go, whether it's this, War HOGG Words of Wisdom, Vantage Point. You got all kinds of stuff rolling at you. And then, oh, by the way, if you like what you're hearing, you want early access to the show, you want training tips. Oh, by the way, one just dropped today, only for our patrons. That's right. Patreon.com/On the Range Podcast. Oh, by the way, we do Zoom calls with our patrons, interact with them, see what's going on. And I'm going to tell you straight up, man, we've got some great patrons from all over the world. That's right. Not just here in America, all over the world. And yeah, we drive kind of the stuff, content for them because that's what they're looking for. And you know what? It's a cool place to hang out. So yeah, buddy, glad to be here.
Yeah. Wherever you are, thank you for making this part of your day. And today's episode is brought to you by KillCliff. So go to killcliff.com and check out the promo code from On the Range Podcast. It's OTR15. Save yourself a boatload of cash. I am drinking the Tropicool Thunder Ignite. What you got there today, Rick?
Nice. Well, so I swapped mine out of the can. Did a little War HOGG marketing, plus keep my Flaming Joe Ignite nice and cool in my cup here. So yeah, because we can be a while.
Yeah. So go to killcliff.com and check out, like we said, the promo code OTR15, and also check out the KillCliff Cult Club. It's a rewards program. The more that you talk about it, the more that you earn. So visit killcliff.com, fueling the American dream with ingredients that do not suck.
Boom.
So we got a pretty big story that happened this week. We may have to release this weekend, this episode, because I think people will want to hear our take on it. Mm-hmm. And it is, it's a big story. It's been going on. We knew there was a time limit on it because it was going to go into effect, I believe, just a couple of days ago. So they did it the day of.
I think it was the 11th.
Yeah, and the United States Supreme Court went ahead and ruled and blocked the vax mandate. Rick, what were you doing when you heard that?
I'm not going to lie, Mark. I don't listen. I don't pay attention to the news, right? I'm going to be honest with you. Why? Because that thing just seeps poison. Was I sitting on the edge of my seat? Nope.
Yeah.
I might catch it in the evening, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Kind of tuned in, kind of like, we were talking about with Tony before, I was more kind of concerned, hey, what's the state of North Carolina doing as far as their, kind of the areas of responsibility. I don't think that's the right word, but just for the congressional districts. But anyway, dude, you can't listen to the news, right? So here's a prime example. I got a note from a buddy of mine. Something about U.S. Army's training for the next Civil War or something. And it was basically talking about, it's talking about Robin Sage. Robin Sage is a special forces training exercise that, oh, by the way, has been going on since the 60s for, special forces soldiers that are going to be trained through that. So I went through Robin Sage, so it's nothing new. But again, that's what kills me with the media is they always put in some twist verbiage in there for whatever. So again, I'm not paying attention because to me it's all kind of poison out there,
Yeah.
Anyway, but no, the whole Supreme Court ruling, I'm glad they ruled the way they did. And if you're not savvy, basically they ruled a couple different ways, and I'll get some clarity from you on this, but the ruling wasn't so much for the vax mandate as it was more the way I understood it, who was supposed to enforce this mandate. So how all of a sudden we've got the Secretary of Labor telling OSHA, which is basically controlling safety in the workplace, that now it's their spot, to sit there and go, hey man, I guess show me your papers or do whatever. I don't even know how they were looking to enforce or what they were looking to do. Right.
Yeah.
Didn't get into the weeds on that. But this is, OSHA's supposed to be going out to the workplace going, all right, cool, man. Here's this construction dude. Whatever the rules are, 3, 4, 5 stories up. And, oh, you're not clipped into a safety line. Yeah, that's a safety violation because if he slips off the scaffolding or the scaffolding fails, however that works, he's at least clipped in and not falling to his death. Yeah. But who is OSHA to come along and go, all right, construction, zone X, here's a better one. I think we were talking about this earlier in the show. Are they going to roll out? Okay, so let's think about it. OSHA is mainly in a large workplace where accidents can happen. I'm sure they go to farms and stuff like that. But are they going to roll out to the lone farmer?
No.
That's out there working the field and go, hey, buddy, show me your credentials here. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so good ruling on that, because it's a total overstep of power and bounds, in my opinion. We've kind of lost our mind with this deal, and I hate calling it a pandemic and all this other crap, because basically when this thing started, it was hyped. Oh my God, if you get it, you're gonna die. Now it's like, even if you're vaxxed, you're getting it, but it's not that bad. And now you got the flu Rona, and it's just like, stop the madness, man.
Yeah.
Stop.
Well, you make a very good point. When we were talking about this topic and rolling out with this show today, it was more or less the ramifications of this type of ruling. It's not so much the topic.
No,
it's almost like trying to avoid an authoritarian administration, because we don't have a king, we don't have a dictator, but you can certainly have an authoritarian administrative body. And that's really what this is kind of talking about. It's like, for those of you who really don't know exactly what this was about, is when the current administration rolled out its idea for the businesses to require its employees. So businesses of 100 employees or more are required to have them vaccinated. The exemption would come through having a test weekly. And this would have been at the cost of the business or at the individual if they're contractors. And they wanted to make this mandatory. So they come along and they grab the Department of Labor, which is an odd administrative body to be enforcing this, and OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, which was born out of the Occupational Safety and Health Act, and make them the enforcing bureaucracy. Very strange, very strange. And this would have affected 84, almost 100 million workers would have been affected, which is, if you think about it, which is roughly, 80, 90% of all adult workers out there. So this was a big deal. And almost immediately it was met with backlash. Almost all, don't quote me on that, I'm close on this one though, Rick, but almost all of the District Court of Appeals immediately began to receive, stay requests, wanting to shut this thing down. Hey, let's talk about it, that kind of stuff. So wildly unpopular for a couple of reasons. It's not so much the freedom aspect, which we're going to really get into, but requiring, even if you agree with what they were doing, you're putting these businesses in a huge, huge problem. It would have almost immediately, if this would have went in very shortly after it started, there'd have been a ton of people fired for not complying or not getting the test in, or it would have bankrupted a ton of businesses. It would have been a monumental disaster. It would have been absolutely disaster. And then one more thing before I get your comment on this, Rick, is a big part of this mandate is it preempted all existing state laws. So the idea of a republic would be gone. And that's what we're talking about. It's crazy. It would have totally turned everything upside down as far as what hometown rule and let the states handle it as what makes us the United States. And that's what, in my opinion, made it unconstitutional.
Well, totally. I mean, you've got, mandates coming down from the federal government, right? So if you think about when this thing all kicked off, my hat's off to Trump, because he was like, hey, man, let the states figure it out. It's not my place. Yeah. Okay, cool. We get this new entity in that is, to me, totally power hungry, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, and I'm going to hit on a couple points there, but here's my point. Why are we so on this? You've got to vax. Here's one for you. Last time I checked, God knows what the numbers are now, right? 600,000 people, or let me rephrase from people to Americans. 600,000 Americans used to die every year due to heart disease. Why aren't we mandating, hey, McDonald's, quit, pumping poison in the kids? Hey, Coca-Cola, fix your stuff. Hey, if you're, this, that, the other, get the boot. Here's the part that blows me away. Why are we so on giving this vaccine? Why aren't we sitting there going, hey, man, you're not fit. You're not working out. You're overweight. You're this. If we really cared about people's health, why aren't we going down that? That's the part that causes me to scratch my head, right? Yeah. That's just Rick's sidebar deal. Why all of a sudden is this thing so, you told me it was so deadly, everyone's dying. You give me this magic jab that, oh, by the way, it doesn't stop. Because if you think about this, right? Back in the day, why did we all get our smallpox shots? And I'm talking about the first one, not this rebooster that came around, right? Because it pretty much got rid of it, right? And then all of a sudden it started rearing its head again. They redid the booster. To me, a vaccine is supposed to shut things down. And I'm sick and tired of hearing variant Y and variant X and Omicron, whatever. Dude, the whole thing's rubbish to me, right? Something doesn't smell right. But that's enough on that part. But really, the other part that rolls in is, with the current debacle you have up in DC, this power-hungry crew, now, we're looking at, all right, we're going to pass this down to OSHA to try to mandate. Cool. Supreme Court says, nope, shut it down. Here's the next thing I'm concerned about. We used to have, hey, if you're doing a transaction of $10,000 or more, you're going to get alerted to the IRS. Okay, I can kind of get it, kind of, sort of, I guess, whatever. Now we're down to $600. So if I do a PayPal transfer, or let's say I go to wire my kids, their birthday present versus putting a check in the mail, doing whatever, and let's say I opt to give them, over $600. Now I got the IRS looking at me tax-wise. I'm like, where do our civil liberties, do we even have any anymore? I don't know. Yeah. But it's total infringement across the board, and people need to stand up, just like we talked about, getting involved at the lowest level and getting stuff fixed. So, sit there. If you're not happy with this IRS tracking, $600, transactions, go, do something. Just don't sit there and stew at it at the house, call your representatives at all levels and say, hey, man, I don't agree with this. Yeah. That's the only way we're going to get things changed. But it's a total, overstep of power across the board with, the current, hate even using the word administration, because it's such a freaking, such a clown show, man. You got somebody that's supposed to be the head of the most powerful country in the world can't even sit there and hold a sentence or know who people are that he's supposed to be addressing. I mean, come on, man. So,
yeah, well, and the people did react, and thank God for that. Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire and some other big companies spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in a short period of time, got it together. And there was the case that was heard in the Supreme Court was called the National Federation of Independent Businesses against or versus the Department of Labor and OSHA. And they heard it, and it was finally ruled upon. It was 6-3 ruling in favor of the plaintiffs. And the first thing that came to my mind when I heard that. And I'm like you, I don't watch the big news. I wait for like the Daily Wire and Outkick and some of these other guys to throw stuff into my phone. The first thing I thought was how huge was the picks for the Supreme Court that Donald Trump had? How big? But to be fair to Ruth Ginsburg, she's old school. I don't believe she would have went for this at all. I really don't. She had, whatever you thought about some of her rulings, she had an illustrious career, legendary. And I don't think she would have went for this. I really don't. She was old school, but you never know. But these three that went against it, I'd listened to some of the arguments earlier the previous week, and it was amazing. You are supposed to judge the constitutionality of it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you're supposed to do. And man, it was brutal. And we don't have time to get into some of the arguments and rebuttal from the judges. Some of them had good questions, but they're talking about, look, it's not just about the mandates. It's about the overreach of government. That's what they do. And they really believe, those three, and there's probably another one on there, but they really believe that the government can do whatever the hell it wants, whenever it wants. All they got to do is cite some kind of an emergency. Brutal.
And we're well past the emergency part, right? Which
God,
I don't even think it was. I don't even think it was an emergency to start.
The unknown. I get it. We were all kind of like, hey, we really don't know what we're dealing with, but we're we're so far past that. I can't remember what I felt like back then.
Exactly. But here's the point, right? Our founding fathers, man, these guys put pen to paper for, specific reasons, i.e. situations like this. Did they ever see us fast forwarding, with this much technology? Probably not. But when you put pen to paper, and it's kind of like we talked about, hey, if you're one of these that was going to do your New Year's resolution, cool. Did you actually put it pen to paper? Because if you didn't, it's all rubbish, right? And the document doesn't morph with time. It doesn't change. The document of the Constitution is that. Okay. Our Bill of Rights are just that. They are written down on paper for all to see. And the words are quite, it's not like it's crazy verbiage. It's pretty clear cut.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they were writing things where, man, I need an encyclopedia to go figure out these words. Nope. And the problem is when the justices are up there, because this is the beauty with our country is, we're supposed to have, the checks and balance with the different branches. So when you're looking at this case, cool. Does it violate the Constitution or does it not?
Yeah. That's it.
Boom. Look at the verbiage, so here's a prime example. And I know I'm shifting here gears a little bit, but everyone's like anti-Second Amendment, right? Pull the guns, do this. Okay. If you read the entire amendment, there's a key phrase in there: shall not be infringed, right? So what part are you wanting to restrict my rights? Because the founding father said shall not be infringed. Pretty plain, simple English. I don't know how to put it any plainer. And when you read it, it's not super difficult to understand. It's pretty clear. It's pretty clear cut. So that's why I get bothered when they're making these rulings, and I go, all right, who's the three? What part of your English is missing, or what did you see that I'm not? To sit there and go, this is all right. The individual that sits, and this is the problem with the judicial system, right? Is it shouldn't have anything to do with your personal preference.
Yeah.
Lady Justice is supposed to be blind. Yeah. You look at the case for what it is.
Yeah, I'm actually glad that it made it past the appellate court. I was surprised that it did, but I'm glad it did, because now it's over. But aside from how big that the picks from Trump for the Supreme Court were, is no matter what your thoughts are, if you really believe everybody should get vaccinated, or you really believe, that they don't, or they shouldn't be, vaccinated, why would you personally want to give up or give that much authority to the government to affect your personal life? And then use some kind of okey doke way? That was the first red flag for me. Is OSHA's the enforcing factor? First of all, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. They're just going to scare these businesses into making their employees get it. And people, no doubt that a vast majority of the smaller ones that are right over that 100 employee mark, they just would have fired 2 or 3 of them, so they were under it.
Yeah,
but they would have had to survive.
Right, but here's the part. Right, here's the part you have to think. So let's say hypothetically, this passes. Okay, cool. You've just opened up Pandora's box, in my opinion.
Yes.
So okay. So you sit there and go, cool, we're doing this for safety. Could I not sit there and go, well, you can no longer drive a petroleum-based vehicle to work. It has to be an electric car. Could you not force it? If you sit there and go, oh no, that never happened. Really? Jeez. You just had, I mean, it could. So, or you're going to sit there and go, oh, you can't park your big dually here because our parking spots are only big enough for little mini cars or whatever. Don't sit there and turn a blind eye and look at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is the overstep of power. And once you do it, what's to stop this thing from rolling? So we already know the agenda. They've got this whole green agenda. Could something else not roll in with it? 100% it could, man. So it's just a dangerous precedent that, thank God, has been stopped, in its tracks. Our system works. That was the checks and balance. Hey, you got, the executive branch going, we want to do this. And, judicial's like, sorry, dude, you're out of bounds. So,
and the funny thing too, is it was very cleverly written to be purposely broad and wide reaching. So they didn't make any distinction between a group of office workers that work in an office the size of a phone booth together from a guy who's a landscaper that works by himself out of his truck by himself. It didn't matter. Yeah. Everybody applied. If there was over 100 employees in that business, everybody applied. Sure. And it was purposeful. They
100%.
Put you through the screws. So like we said, almost every court of appeals received a complaint. So people who run businesses, they understand that they weren't going to survive this. So it wasn't so much whether they believed in the right or that everybody should be vaccinated or whatever. They still, this country still has to operate. It still has to run. The same restrictions and regulations that we're putting on is causing the supply chain. It's causing people to not get their goods to where they needs to go. All these things, we're painting ourselves in a corner with this stuff. So why would we continue to allow this administration or any government entity to add more rules, add more mandates, make us do more things, and not let us run our businesses and lives? I don't know why we'd ever give that up, even if you strongly believe in what the subject is.
No. And that's the whole point. No. And that's the whole point, Mark, right? Is luckily you had some people with some money, because again, that's what it's going to take to put these things, up the chain. But let's say, Johnny's Landscaping, who might have 100 guys out there mowing grass, trimming side, whatever. Are they going to sit there and have the funds to sit there and put a case in front of the Supreme Court? Nope. They're going to have to sit there and go, all right, yeah, I guess we'll have to do it or turn a blind eye. However they do it, I don't know. But, it's one of those dangerous balancing acts, right? So again, it's people with power or money. Luckily, they had the money to put in front of the courts. But it's just an overstep of bounds. And people, I would say this. I got it. You may not be a huge reader. Go get you a copy of the Constitution. Read it over. Trust me, it's a short read. It's a very short read. Won't take you long at all. And I would say this. Here'd be my challenge. Don't even try to knock it out all in one day. Just do an amendment a day. Just take a read. Just read one, digest it, sit on it, let it resonate with you, and then really understand how much power we, the people, actually have. Because that's what people don't understand. I don't think they really realize what rights we have as Americans. We're not entitled to diddly.
Yeah.
Nope. The only thing we're entitled, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? Boom. Being entitled to anything else, I don't want nothing from the government.
No.
I'm not here looking for my, free handout, my free cheese, my nothing.
Yeah.
Just give me the opportunity to either succeed or fail. And if I sit there and fail and fall down, cool. Brush the dust off, regroup, pick up, and move on.
Yeah.
But people, please know you live in the greatest country in the world. Know kind of what the playbook is. Know what your rights are as Americans. And, if something doesn't sit right, that's where, you let the legislators know, hey, man, you're my voice.
Yeah.
So,
None of this made sense. It didn't make sense at all why OSHA would have been used. It's an occupational safety and health. The virus is everywhere.
mm-hmm.
Why does that my workplace safety have to do with me being home? It doesn't apply. Like you said, OSHA guys go around making sure folks have their hard hats on.
Yeah.
They don't tell you what kind of medicine or what kind of treatment or what you should do at home. Nope. It's just a workplace. And they're trying to push this through, backwards like this. It immediately rose a lot of red flags for me. Immediately.
Sure. But it would be like them coming into the workplace and going, oh, you're drinking Coca-Cola. Here's a fine because you got sugar.
Yep.
Come on, man. Where do you draw the line on letting your civil liberties just be trampled on? And that's the underlying statement. Your civil liberties. So
I really don't think this is the last we heard of this.
Nope.
I really don't. I don't know what's next, but it wasn't a good week for the administration, man. They took it on the chin with this one. They had that one old girl come out and basically say she's not for the filibuster, and she got some other folks on board because people are starting to realize that just because you want to do something now, it doesn't necessarily if you make a change, it's going to affect everything down the road or let authoritarianism in the cracks. It's not a good thing. And then on top of that, Munchin doubled and tripled down on the negative on the Build Back Better. So it just hasn't been a great week for the administration. But like I said, I don't think this is going away anytime soon. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
And here's the thing, Mark. I think, old Brandon's sitting at 33% approval rate. 33%. Yet, suppose they got all these votes. Shocking. I don't quite understand it. We won't get into that one, but epic fail.
Yeah.
And it's just getting worse and worse.
Yeah. To echo what you said earlier, Tony Cowden, folks like him, that's what we need to do. Get behind these guys and help them out. And just a lot of great people doing some great things. We just need to keep it up and know who we're voting for and who we got in there. Definitely need to do that. So
absolutely.
But anyway, great topic. Thanks for being here, buddy. Rick. Let's make sure that we talk about the Patreon just one more time before we roll out of here. But kellydefense.com and warhog.com in honor of Duco, / in honor of Duco. Make sure we mention that. We still want to collect as much money as we can for that. Also, go to both those websites and sign up for the newsletters and also subscribe to the email list. And a lot of good information. And one last time, we're not going to leave without mentioning it again because we think it's just great, is the Patreon page. You go to patreon.com / on the range podcast, sign up, check out all the content we have, a lot of training tips. We just put up another vlog last week. Today we dropped another training tip. Rick was out there blasting it up. Great stuff. So let's make sure we stay on top of it, buddy. It's going good, and we want some more people to enjoy that and help support the show.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. All right, pal. Sounds good, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you on the range.
Yeah, man. Yeah, take care.